I remember telling her, why can't we just let him go? Why do you need to do this? For a long time, we would check the news constantly. That's when we found out that the torso was discovered.
This shocking confession from Sarah Buzzard, a college graduate, finally solved the mystery of a murder that took place years ago.
She had a bottle of vinegar next to her to add to it when the time came. The hands and the feet she told me to put in a bag, and then she also put it in the freezer for later.
Sarah was about to learn a hard lesson. You can run, but you can never escape justice.
And every time we moved, you would have to come with us. So that was a weight that I had to drag with me everywhere I went.
On August 25th, 2021, the Marion police in Indiana made a surprise visit to the residence of Sarah Buzzard. Little did anyone know that this was the day Sarah had been dreading for years.
Well, I think you got a warrant.
Warrant? What?
It's out of Ohio, I think. All right, so go ahead and turn around, put your hands behind your back for me. Is anybody else in the house with you?
Who else is inside with you?
My mother and my wife.
Okay. I just saw someone walking in the back door.
The older woman would be my mother. My wife is still asleep.
So there's two other people in the house?
Yes.
In 2015, Sarah and her husband, Corey, shared an apartment in Columbus, Ohio. What started as a sweet story of high school sweethearts turned into one of the most shocking crimes the country had ever seen, fueled by polyamorous tensions and revenge.
So I go with her and she had to be a trustee.
Jen, you can't go with me now. She said she's an adult.
It's just
Be
my
different.
baby.
I understand.
My
Be
baby.
different if she was a juvenile or something like that, but she's an adult. Okay, we'll stand up and walk. We can sit in my car.
You need that
It's gonna be a few
No.
minutes.
All right?
You can sit in there.
One more swallow. Okay, hold on.
Hey, don't bend over because if you're already lightheaded, that's not gonna help you. Okay, I'm gonna hold your arm so you don't fall over, okay? Let's walk this way.
So, hold on.
Ma'am, I can't tell you. She'll have to be able to give you a phone call when
Okay,
they get her pump system or anything like that, okay?
okay, all right. Okay, everything, call me, okay? Yeah, give me.
Sarah's mother was quite taken aback by the arrest of her seemingly sweet daughter, but no one was prepared for what would happen when the truth came out. No one expected her wife, Jennifer. Their last solemn goodbye held much more meaning than anyone could have guessed, and soon, Sarah would be the only living witness to the brutal crime that took place on the weekend of September 25th, 2015.
Good morning. How are you doing, Sarah? Feel free to have a seat. People here. We didn't want to be rude drinking our coffee in front of you, so we've got you one. Feel free to
Thank you so much.
to have it if you like. If you don't like coffee, then
I haven't had coffee for so long.
we've spoken with Mr. Lamar and Mr. Wilson, your attorneys. They're fully aware of what's going on. They've spoken with you. Is that correct? Okay. And they've given you the go-ahead to speak with us without them present. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. I explained to them I'm still going to read you your Miranda rights here, just to make sure that's covered.
This was not Sarah's first interrogation by the detectives. Friends remembered Ryan as a kind and caring person, and every minute in this interrogation room is about what happened to him.
I'm going to read the waiver portion here. It says, I have read the statement of my rights shown above, and I understand what my rights are. I am willing to make a statement and answer questions. I do not want a lawyer at this time. I understand and know what I am doing. The promises or threats have been made to me, and no pressure of any kind has been used against me. Does that sound clear? Okay. I guess I don't know what your thoughts are on the easiest way to get through this. Obviously, it's not going to be something easy to speak about. So we obviously want to make it as simple and comfortable for you as possible, but also, in your own words. We don't want to question after question after question. So we kind of feel like the simplest would maybe to be able to ask you to start kind of from the beginning, maybe when things started with when, say, Jen moved in, that kind of thing, and then just kind of tell us how things played out. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I first met Jen around, I think, late June-ish, 2014, on a dating site. And Corey, my husband at the time, wasn't going to be involved. He knew about it, but he said that he wouldn't try to insert himself in the relationship. So she and I would meet up for movies at my apartment.
The polyamorous nature of Sarah's marriage to Corey was like a ticking time bomb. By her account, things really took a nosedive when Jennifer entered the picture.
Around that time, I learned from her that she was transgender. She had been on hormone therapy for 6 or 7 years, but it was before she had her surgery. And when Corey found out, he really tried to insert himself into the relationship because he had this personal philosophy that a perfect relationship involved a man, a woman, and a transgendered individual. I don't know where he came up with this. I never shared it. Before Jen and I met in person, I had told her that he wouldn't be involved, so the fact that now he was trying to be involved did not help either of us. So we had our relationship, and Corey was trying to pursue other women without success. I never knew about his conversations because I didn't want to know, and he never volunteered it to me. And then during her absence, that's when Corey started talking to Ryan online. I didn't know about their conversations until around early April-ish, when he told me that he wanted Ryan to move in with us so that he could act on this philosophy. And we argued constantly for the entire month because I always felt like he needed this other person to make up for traits that I lacked, and that really, really hurt. And he was expecting me to, I don't know, not fall in love, but become infatuated with Ryan when I first met him, and everything would be perfect.
Sure.
So we argued because he was adamant about it. I did not want it to happen. He didn't like any of the compromises that I was trying to come up with. So finally, I came up with a compromise that I still didn't like, but it was the best I could do, which was Ryan would be allowed to stay in our spare bedroom on the condition that he pay rent, purchase his own groceries, and at the end of a 3-month period, he would have to have a job and his own apartment. Because I told Corey that if the relationship he was pursuing with him was going well, Ryan could still be around to see him, but I didn't want him staying in the house the whole time.
Well, that sounds fair.
Yeah, which he agreed to.
Ryan Zimmerman had no idea that when entering into a relationship with Corey, he would be signing his death certificate.
He was extremely subservient to the point where I found it extremely annoying. Like I was asking him, what are your hobbies? What do you like to do? And he said, I like to draw. And I told him, I have a degree in that. I'd love to help you. He said, no, I'll never be good enough. So I understand that his family, I could see why he had that kind of personality, but I didn't like it. And I let Corey know that I said, I didn't see what he looked like. I don't know if Corey had gotten pictures, but I never got one. And I said, I don't think I'm going to like him when he comes, but I will still give him a chance to at least have somewhere to stay until he gets on his feet. He would eavesdrop at the top of the stairs, and she would always catch him, and that really bothered her.
Like eavesdrop on your conversation, or just in general in her personal space?
If anyone was talking in the kitchen, he would sit at the top of the stairs and try to eavesdrop. So Naira, Jen kept to herself.
You can call her whatever you want. Whatever you're comfortable with.
So Naira was, she stayed in the living room primarily. Didn't really interact with Corey or Ryan if she could help it, unless we were all in the kitchen during meal times. I bounced back from staying with her, going to work, and then sometimes staying up in the office with Corey because that's where my desk was. I also tried not to interact with Ryan as much as possible, but I was a little bit more open if he had questions. And then Ryan stayed in his room primarily all the time. And then Corey would bounce between hanging out in Ryan's room, staying in the office, or going to school. So we all kind of had a uncomfortable but functioning relationship.
How much can one person take before snapping? That was the question Sarah was about to answer. You might want to brace yourself. The details are not pretty.
And then in September, I think it was the 25th. I know it was the weekend when everything happened, and I can't exactly remember if it was a Friday or a Saturday. I think it was Friday the 25th. Corey told me that he was meeting a woman at the Greyhound bus station, and that they had reserved a hotel room in downtown Columbus, and they were going to stay there for the whole weekend. And he also told me that he didn't want to have anything to do with Ryan anymore. He wasn't what Corey expected, and he had not tried to hold up his end of the deal. He had scheduled several job interviews and never went to a single one because he was convinced that he was just going to get rejected, so why bother? So Corey told me that he did not want Ryan there anymore. He had told him that he wanted him to pack up and leave before Corey came back. And then he left to go to the hotel. On the morning of the 26th, Naira started voicing some plan about killing him, and I did not take her seriously because she would make comments like that sometimes. Like if we were in the parking lot and we saw a woman waiting in her car, she would say something like, "Oh, I wonder what would happen if I just shot her in there," or "Oh, I wonder what would happen if we drove this cyclist off the road," and things like that. She never acted on them, so I never took her seriously. So when she started saying things about killing Ryan, I didn't take her seriously.
Did she first say something that morning, or had she said something prior?
She may have made passing comments prior, but nothing major. It was less about murder, more about just violence.
The fact that Sarah didn't take Jennifer's outright planning to kill Ryan seriously or report it was a huge red flag. Could this mean that Sarah was more involved than she was letting on? Let us know what you think in the comments below.
I wouldn't do anything. That's what Corey wanted, then he would have to leave this weekend. Which is not what he wanted to hear, but he agreed to it. So then I left, I went back downstairs, and I filled in Naira on what he had told me. And that's when she went back to fleshing out her plan. I still didn't take her seriously, but I was starting to get worried because of how intricate it was getting. And then when she started gathering tools like trash bags, bleach, the handsaw from the shed, I realized she was serious. So I tried to talk her out of it, calmly at first, and then I started getting a little hysterical. And she told me that if I didn't help, that she was going to do it anyway, and that it was going to be a lot messier and a lot harder to get everything done by herself, and that Corey would probably come home before she was finished. So she said that she would just give me a small role to play, but she would do most of the heavy work. And usually at this point, the attorneys ask me, well, why did you do it? Why didn't you call the police? Why didn't you kick her out? And it was because I loved her. I knew that she wasn't a good person. I knew that she was kind of borderline sociopathic. She liked to manipulate people, including me early in our relationship, but she was the only person who had been there for me through everything that Corey had put me through, and she was the first person that I actually felt like cared about me. Maybe not so much at this point in our relationship, but later on, she was fiercely loyal to me. And so I didn't want to lose her. So I agreed that I would help.
The fine degree of planning hinted that Ryan's murder was not a heat-at-the-moment mistake, but rather a planned act of revenge.
She had a rag that she dipped in bleach, and she had a bottle of vinegar next to her to add to it when the time came, because I guess they had some kind of chemical reaction and released some kind of poisonous gas. I don't really know, but she did the research for it. So when Ryan came out, I was waiting in the doorway of the office, waited until he walked down the hall, and then I jumped on him from behind, put him in a headlock and pulled him down to the floor with my body weight so I could hold him while Naira came in and straddled him and then pressed the rag over his face. When he started making these guttural gasping noises, Naira let me get out from under him, and I curled up in the office and cried. I didn't want to look at her or him. I wish that I didn't have to do it, but it was done, and I was so scared and horrified, but there wasn't, I didn't stop. I didn't stop her. I didn't.
Love is a powerful thing.
Yeah. I didn't know that she had put duct tape over his face until the prosecutors or you, or I can't remember, somebody told me that when they examined the head that there was duct tape on it. So I didn't see her do that. I'm guessing she did it to make sure that he wouldn't breathe if he wasn't fully dead. And then she asked me to help her move him into the bathtub, but I wouldn't do it. I said I didn't want to see his face. I couldn't bring myself to look at him. The only thing I could see were his calves sticking out, and his skin had turned white, so I knew that he had died. She did get him in the bathtub, and she had put a trash bag over his head and severed it, and then put that into the freezer so that she could deal with it later. And she started using the handsaw to take off his hands and feet at the joint. And at that time, because his face, I didn't have to see his face anymore, I came out to help, and she gave me his clothes, instructed me to put it in a trash bag while she worked.
Even though Sarah claimed she only played a small role in the murder and dismemberment, this was still enough to ensure she would spend a long time behind bars.
So I put the hands in one bag, the hands and the feet she told me to put in a bag, and then she also put it in the freezer for later because she said those would be the two big identifying factors and she would have to deal with them separately. So I removed the forearms and the calves at the joints, and it was slow, exhausting work, and I did not work fast enough. Her original idea was to cut up everything into as small of manageable pieces as possible and then dispose of them that way, but we didn't have enough time to do that, so we just had the head, hands and feet, the forearms went in one bag, the calves went in another bag, and then we just had to deal with the torso. We took the bin and put it in the back of Ryan's car. Sometime on the 26th in the afternoon, she had apparently talked to a friend online who arranged to purchase Greyhound tickets for us. I didn't know who he was, and I didn't see her do it because she just wanted to keep it on a need-to-know basis. So once we got the bin into Ryan's car, that's when she told me our plan was to drive to Illinois, leave the car somewhere deserted, and use those tickets to come back to Columbus. So we started driving, and I stopped for gas after maybe half an hour to an hour, and then that's when the car wouldn't start again. She took my phone and was trying to troubleshoot it while I did everything I could think of, and we couldn't get it to start, so we had to call a tow truck and have it bring it back to the apartment complex.
Sarah and Jennifer quickly learned that disposing of a body was not as easy as the movies make it seem. When their initial plan failed, they took a far more disgusting alternative to disposing the remains of Ryan.
Myra would randomly pick exits for me to turn off on, and we would drive around trying to find dumpsters that were open and unsupervised, and we would throw one of the bags in it and then get back on the highway and keep going.
Sure.
So we did that until we just had the torso left, but at that point we had both been awake for 36 some hours, so I kept falling asleep at the wheel, and I told her I can't keep driving. So that's when we found the wooded area here, dumped the torso, and turned around and started driving back to Columbus. And I had to stop frequently on country roads to take a quick nap just so I could keep going. The head, she got this soup pot and made some kind of lye mixture and put the head in it, partially because it was kind of a trophy for her, but also because she didn't know the best way to dispose of it yet. So we had to carry, so she put it in the soup bin, put that in a bag, or several bags, put the pieces of the hands and feet also in the bag, and then kept bagging it up, and we put it in the shed for the time being. And every time we moved, it would have to come with us. So that was a weight that I had to drag with me everywhere I went.
Wanting to keep Ryan's head as a trophy was another glimpse into the dark inner workings of Jennifer's mind. Unfortunately, we would never be able to hear Jennifer's side, since she took her own life before the cops were able to arrest her.
For a long time, we would check the news constantly. That's when we found out that the torso was discovered. But as time went on and we didn't see any new news, we started planning for a future instead. We made a suicide pact that should something go wrong or we get discovered, that she was going to shoot me first and then kill herself, because she said she would rather die than spend her life in prison. And then the arrest came, and when I said goodbye to her, I could see it in her face that she knew. And when the officer at the Marion Police Department told me what happened, I wasn't surprised, but it still hurt.
Sure. I need tissues. There we are.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Sarah was now the only one left who could shed light on this matter, and the detectives could only hope that she was actually telling the truth.
If you don't mind, I have a few questions. Okay. Kind of going back a little bit to the point where you said she would bring it up and talk about it, I guess, and she kind of laid out her plan. What did she explain?
She was trying to figure out the best way to kill him without alerting anyone. She didn't want to. She wanted me to hold Ryan down so that he wouldn't flee or kick her or anything, while she put the rag on his face. She didn't share the after part when we needed to dispose of things, either because, again, she wanted it as a need-to-know basis, or she hadn't figured it out just yet. So she told me that my role was just to pull him down and she would take care of the rest.
Does Sarah's cold retelling indicate her lack of remorse, or do you think she had simply disassociated due to the violent nature of the crime?
Do you feel like when you pulled him down, did he pass when you had your arms around him? Do you feel like he was dead and then she told you could go?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't have any experience with what the body or what a body does as it's fighting.
Because you had mentioned that she brought this up previously. How far previously did she start making comments about violence towards Ryan or killing Ryan versus when it actually took place that weekend?
Well, she made maybe not necessarily violent comments, but disgusted comments she would make ever since basically when he arrived. She more commonly said things like, he's a disgusting human being, or the world would be better off without him, but she didn't actually say things like, I wonder what would happen if I killed him, until that day.
The day that happened. Okay. There was different searches and things on your Google. Would that have been you, like searching the jugular, that sort of thing, to make sure you got it right the first time?
I didn't search for it. It may have been something that she searched for, because I would let her borrow my phone if she needed something right away. So I don't recall making the search myself. Because I can't think of any information that I would have gotten from it. So that would be something that she might have done.
There were a lot of loose ends to this case. The fact that Sarah was pitting all the blame on her now deceased wife was rather convenient and very suspicious.
Do you recall, I guess, what happened with his debit card or what have you after he had...
Naira kept them.
Okay.
I don't know what she did with them. I think she also got maybe like a flash drive or a hard drive. But she kept all of those to herself. I don't know exactly what she took. Yeah, I can't remember what was in the trunk.
That's okay.
Bags, boxes, and she took what she wanted and then stored it in her area.
Okay. So you don't know if the debit card would have been used by either of you after he had been deceased for a couple weeks. Okay.
It's hard reliving this over and over and over, and
So after today we can move forward.
I hope so. Yeah. I think I have to do it again at the sentencing, so I'm just very emotionally drained having to do this over and over.
Well, and unfortunately, in situations like this, sometimes it helps to get it all out. The more that you speak about it, then that offers closure for you as well.
Yeah.
Sarah was trying to gain sympathy, although her actions not only took someone's life, but caused infinite pain for Ryan's family and everyone else in her and Jennifer's lives.
Before, it would have just been like really basic info, like, oh, we kill him and cut him up and throw him somewhere, and then that was the end. But when she started going into the details, like, we would need to remove this first and that, and then we would have to do this, that it started becoming less like her other comments and more something new that I hadn't experienced.
So anytime after Brian would have been identified, were you guys watching the news or watching any of that beforehand? So you had seen when he had been identified at that point in time?
Not identified. I never knew that he was identified.
Okay.
I saw the news report that they had found the body, that they were trying to get a DNA extraction or whatever, and that they hadn't found any matches. So I think maybe 2 or 3-ish years after that, we kind of stopped checking the news because nothing changed. So I never knew that he was identified because I don't know if that was released to the public.
Sure. Naira or either you or her went into those bags at all to move them around, to put some of it in a separate bag or anything like that?
I don't remember. If I know that it was easier to just keep putting it in new bags than it was to take them out and change the bags.
Sure.
Plus the places we were living did not allow us to have enough room to really properly take care of it, so it was easier to put it in another trash bag, we might have stuck it in another vacuum seal that we had laying around, but we just kept layering it so we wouldn't have to deal with it.
So the pot was never opened back up after it was sealed up? Okay.
At least I didn't think so. I know she might have, but I never did.
The fact that they were in possession of Ryan's head so long was terrifying. It's starting to feel more like the entire murder was a sick game Jennifer and Sarah actually enjoyed.
And you had mentioned when the hands and feet were placed in the bag, you said that she had went back and wanted to do something to separate them?
Yeah, to like pick them apart so that it didn't resemble a hand or a foot anymore. Because she thought it would be easier to get rid of that part than the head. But I think once we put it in the bag with the head, at least I just kind of forgot about it and just kept everything in there.
You're an artist, right? So some of your artwork,
Yeah.
can you explain that?
So art for me is a coping mechanism. And I know that Randy and Eric had mentioned that there were two pieces in particular that gave people red flags. One was a painting of a sheep with that was done in blood, or some of it. That piece I had done prior to ever knowing about Ryan. That was a coping mechanism for everything that I'd been through with Corey. And the artist's statement that I wrote about it said that I felt like a sacrificial lamb giving up my happiness so that somebody else could get what they wanted. The other one was a mermaid holding a human head, and I know that people thought, or at least I heard, that this was like, I don't remember how they described it, but showing like, look what I did. But that was also a coping mechanism, having to drag that around with me everywhere we moved. And also I did that in October, so it was supposed to be kind of a macabre piece for Halloween. And also tying back to the myth of mermaids, that they would dismember their victims and drown them or whatever.
Sarah's artwork eerily mimicked the details of the murder, which did not do her many favors in trying to prove that she was dragged into the crime against her will.
Getting back a little bit to the buy. Okay, there's no easy way around it, so I apologize. How long do you recall that the hands or the head and things remained in the freezer?
Several days. I don't remember exactly how long, but I knew it wasn't right away. But with the way Naira had bagged them and positioned them, it didn't bring any suspicion. At least Corey never seemed suspicious of it. I think she was waiting for like a time when nobody would be there and she wouldn't be disturbed. So when Corey was at school, he's usually there. He would usually take the bus sometime in the morning and not be back until either late afternoon, early evening, something like that. And so she would have waited until I was at work and he was at school so she wouldn't be interrupted. So I know it was in there for at least a few days, if not longer.
As it turns out, Jennifer had a very dark past that proved something like this was bound to happen at some point.
And you mentioned something about Naira's shady past.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me more about that.
So she started hormone therapy when she was, I think, 20 or 21, and she moved out of her mother's house. And the places that she had stayed were kind of seedy. I know she stayed with, or she roomed with some porn stars. She was doing cam videos to make money. She had a violent past. When she was in high school, I think she tried to stab someone with a pencil or something, but the charges were dropped. She implied that she had done something else that was also violent that I never found out about. And then just the way her personality was with the sociopathic tendencies, the aggressive, manipulative behavior. She didn't like to talk about her past with me, but she would sometimes feed me small little tidbits to show that she had secrets.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that was in a way to manipulate you? To intimidate you?
Possibly. I don't really know how I felt about it.
Sure.
I mean, later on, the longer we were together, I just accepted it. So from my understanding with the stabbing, I think she and some friends had made a comic for themselves, and the person who was stabbed took the pages and tore them up or something like that. So she took a pencil and I don't know where they got stabbed, but she stabbed them with a pencil, and she was brought to court, but the charges were dropped or some kind of agreement they came to, so it never stayed on her record.
There were searches for firearm, bill of sale. I guess it would have been like around August 10th or so. Do you recall searching that?
I don't recall it, but I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know if it was for her pistol that she used or if it was for the rifle that I bought. I want to say it was the rifle, but I'm not 100% sure.
What initiated those purchases?
Naira was I don't want to say a gun fanatic, but she strongly believed in her right to carry. And she already had a shotgun, an air rifle, and I think it was just those two.
One of the main questions was why Sarah stayed with Jennifer after learning all this disturbing information. Their relationship was clearly toxic and codependent, and in the end, all that came from it was heartache.
I've never really cared about guns. I still don't, but it was something that we could bond over and she could teach me about. And if we ever played like zombie games or something like that, I would always pick rifles, so she did research for me to find the best one. So that could have been what the searches were.
Sure.
I don't think I would have done the searches myself because I didn't understand what I needed to look for.
Do you recall the conversation? I guess, was it anything to do with, possibly using it on Ryan or having it for after the fact for the suicide pact, or when did that suicide pact come into play?
I think I don't think we really discussed it until after the body had been found, because she became more paranoid. I don't remember if I'm thinking the suicide pact was after she got the pistol, because that would make the most sense.
Unfortunately, the marriage to Corey was not healthy either, so her situation went from bad to worse.
It sounds like you and Corey were kind of venturing out of the marriage.
Unwillingly.
Okay.
Yeah. Since, well, I mean, in hindsight, I can see a lot of the signs that I should have seen with him. When we were dating, he had cheated on me once. When we got married and then moved into the apartment so I could start my freshman year, he tried to go after my best friend, which caused us to have a falling out. He went after my classmates. So the first couple of years I was trying to support him with whatever he was figuring out, but by year 3 and on, I was just tired of it. I was exploring my sexuality because I thought for a while I was more attracted to women, and he was okay with that, expecting that he might be able to stick himself in the relationship. So definitely by the time I met Naira, we were both kind of branching off. I had more success than he did, but definitely by year 4.5 to 5, we were pursuing our own separate relationships. I had considered divorce for a while, but I wasn't sure if that was something I really wanted to do. Ryan's death kind of acted as a catalyst and made me realize that I didn't want to be with Corey anymore, especially when after Ryan, in his mind, left, he almost immediately found a new girlfriend to move in. I don't think she officially moved in, but she was there enough that she acted as another person. And I was just done with all of these people being in the apartment.
Sarah was trying to defend Jennifer, but it was obvious that Jennifer had some serious psychotic issues.
Other than the pencil stabbing, are you aware of any other
anything? She was never big on physical violence, mostly mental. And early in our relationship, she did it to me too. She liked to find people's weaknesses and dig her claws into them and just keep pushing them. She would troll people online because it was funny and fun for her. And she liked seeing how far she could go pushing someone's buttons. So for our first few years together, she would do that to me until it became too much. And she worked on not subjecting me to that, but would still do it to other people online, especially if she was playing games. So her violence was usually directed to inanimate objects like cookery, clothes, whatever, but not really to other people, if that makes sense.
Do you know if she had been arrested for anything else?
I don't know. I just know about the stabbing, so I'm not sure.
About how old would she have been at that time?
She was in high school. I don't know exactly when, but sometime in high school.
And you said you know what name she would have went by at that time?
Yes, I think it would have been under Yarny Whitaker.
Okay. Do you know any prior names?
She was born Jeremy Ramos, and then sometime in school, I don't know if it was high school or middle school, she changed her name to Yarny Whitaker, and then she changed her name to Naira Whitaker.
Had Jennifer received professional help earlier, this entire tragedy could have been avoided.
So you mentioned that you had brought Naira up to speed on the part where Corey had told Ryan he needed to leave and that sort of thing. And then was that before the conversation that she started making comments about killing him and the plan? Or why wouldn't she have just left him pack his things and leave?
I don't know. That's because I remember telling her, why can't we just let him go? Why do you need to do this? And the thing she said was along the lines of, someone like that doesn't deserve to be out in the world to ruin someone else's life. So I think in some perverse way it was her idea that I don't want to go so far as to say she was dealing out justice, but she just felt very strongly that he didn't deserve to be out there.
You had mentioned in prior conversations that you felt like Ryan had ruined your life. Did you express that to Naira?
No. When I said that the first time, I was doing it to protect her. I didn't like Ryan. He did disgust me, but I didn't feel that he ruined my life. Corey ruined my life. Every problem that I had suffered through was a direct result of his actions. So I didn't like what Ryan had done to my relationship, but I didn't blame him for the outcome, and I didn't blame him for the resulting divorce.
Sure.
Any animosity I have still is towards Corey.
Sarah's story was in stark contradiction to her original confession. We would now learn why she had tried to protect Jennifer, even though it ultimately caused more harm.
Knowing the suicide pact in place and that was her game plan, I guess, why try to protect her at that point in time?
Yeah, that's what I thought about in hindsight. It would have devastated me to have to throw her under the bus and say, well, she was the one who did it. I guess there was a small part of me that thought if I took the fall for her, she would be okay. But thinking back now, I should have known with the look on her face that there was no point trying to protect her. She was going to do it anyway, with me or without me.
So you knew that she was going to do that after you left?
I didn't know 100%, but I suspected it. I think at one point when I was by myself in the interview room, I thought I heard one of the officers say something about gunshot, and that's when it hit me. And I thought, oh my God, are they talking about her? Did she do it? And that was the biggest question that I had until they moved me to the other room and told me for sure.
Is there a reason you wouldn't have said something to the officers there before they brought you away to
I had just woken up, so I didn't know where my head was, and I got very lightheaded and almost passed out. So I had a sensory overload because on one hand I'm trying to not hyperventilate, I'm trying to breathe.
Well, you have what, a speeding ticket on your record up until the cops show up at your house. That's understandable.
And both of the officers were asking me different questions. I was trying to tell them who was in the house, and it was noise, and my mom was yelling, and I kind of shut down. So I didn't have enough mental capacity to remember that pact we made, and I think there was a tiny part of me that thought things were going to be okay.
Jennifer had a very distorted worldview, and what she thought of Ryan explained why she could carry out the murder in cold blood.
Was there any mutilation that Naira had done towards Ryan at all, even post his death?
No. I mean, the only mutilation was the cutting off the limbs, but I didn't know anything that Corey and Ryan talked about. but it doesn't surprise me to hear that because that's what she did to him. She loved pointing out. So Corey was going for a psychology degree, and he felt like he had more knowledge than the average person, but Naira knew much more than he did and loved to belittle him about that. And I think he was bitter about the fact that I was grieving over her being gone for those months. So he was trying to paint her as this awful person who everyone needed to avoid, which unfortunately it worked on me, and I guess that's why he said it to Ryan. She was a little, what's the word? She was hypocritical about transitioning. She, with the community that she was part of, the Bimani community, she always said that she was the quote-unquote trendsetter for transitioning, because when she started, a bunch of other people in the community also did that. But her opinion of people transitioning was she didn't like people who wanted to wear it like a badge, if that makes sense, like going around saying, "Oh, look at me! You need to use my proper pronouns." Excuse me, just beat that over them. She said that if you want to transition, your goal is to just fit in, and that's what she tried to do. She didn't point out anything. She tried to be as feminine as possible because that's what she wanted to be, was a woman. And so with people like Ryan, who say that they're transitioning but are not really making the effort, really bothered her. The fact that Ryan wanted to but still looked and acted male just really got under her skin.
It is possible that Jennifer was living in a prolonged state of psychosis, and learning more about their relationship dynamics only proved this.
During the interview with Naira, she had mentioned that you were more of like the alpha male of the household.
Oh, okay, of the household.
Of the household,
yes.
Yeah.
I was the only responsible person. I didn't trust Corey to manage it because not that I don't think he would have been capable, but it was just easier for me to know I'm taking care of the finances, I'm balancing the checkbook and stuff like that. That's just how I grew up, since I was basically an only child because my siblings are significantly older than me. So from a very young age, I was instilled with responsibility. I was much more mature than a lot of the freshmen at college. So her saying that definitely makes sense.
The relationship between Sarah and Jennifer seemed very unbalanced. Could this mean that Sarah really was a victim in this entire mess?
I cannot handle conflict at all. If someone honks at me while I'm driving, it rattles me for like an hour or so. If somebody gets in my face, I shut down. When it came to sex, I was always the submissive one. And that became difficult because before she had her surgery, even though she was taking testosterone blockers, she was still more of the aggressive one. But after her surgery, she had no sexual desire, and it was very, very difficult for me to initiate anything because that's not how my brain is wired. So when it came to doing adult things, I excelled, but when it came to life in general, I'm very, very timid, very submissive. it was easier to hide than try to confront someone. So if anything like that happened while she was with me, she would take over and stand up for me.
Have you ever told anybody about the killing itself, like how that all went down?
I didn't tell anyone. I feel like she might have told 2 people that she trusted, because they would have been like our safe house. If we found out, we could drop off the grid and stay with them. I don't know how much detail she went into, but I know that she had mentioned that she was talking to a couple of people, and that
would these have been the same people that would have purchased the Greyhound tickets?
maybe. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure. I never saw or heard her arranging this. She just told me after the fact as a need-to-know basis.
Okay. You mentioned her mom. What would be her mom's name?
Doreen Desmarto.
Okay.
Now comes the moment we have all been waiting for, the first signs of remorse.
I don't know how much she knows.
Yeah.
I know that...
I'm not looking at...
Okay. Because I think she's still in a lot of pain,
Sure.
and I can imagine what she's thinking on the news, because right now what's on the news is the statement I originally made.
Sure.
I have written to her to see how she's doing, and she was able to arrange the funeral, but she is not handling this well at all.
Hoping that she maybe responded to your writings to her?
She sent me a letter once,
Okay,
and I haven't been able to write her back because it hurts too much.
Sure.
But I know that she's been texting my mom, and my brother has been helping gather up some of Jen's belongings and mailed them back to her, like her clothes, some of her toys, little mementos, the gaming things.
Sure.
But I don't think she's at a point where she can find closure yet.
In due time, hopefully, one day at a time.
Yeah.
We can only imagine the anguish Jennifer's mother felt. Sarah owning up to this was the first real semblance of accountability from her.
You want to, I guess, go into more detail? Anything that you thought of? We've sat here for quite some
I
time.
don't think so. I'm just hoping that nothing is going to change the plea bargain that I've done.
You mean anything that you've said today?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and that's been discussed with you and your attorneys, that sort of thing. They would never put you in a position to do this conversation today.
Yeah. He just said to tell you the same thing that I told them, which I did.
Yeah.
I think I just went into much more detail about Naira.
And we appreciate that because it kind of gives us a little better understanding of kind of what brought things to the point that it did.
Because I don't know if the prosecution knows how much detail about Naira. So I'm basically just hoping that at the sentencing, essentially the same thing that I told both of you, just condensed a little bit, we'll be able to go on the record so that my side of the story and what actually happened will be out. Because the last time I was in the papers, it was awful. So many things on there I wanted to say that's not true, that's not what happened. So this is the only time that I'll be able to.
Sure.
I did think of a couple of other things. Early on, when I was first... What comes after the arraignment? The indictment or something like that?
Okay.
The papers had pointed out the large sum of cash and my plane tickets, and assumed I was going to use that to flee. And I never got to correct them about that. The money was about $17,000 some dollars. That was supposed to be for a house down payment. every month I would take a little bit from Naira's Social Security to put it in cash. One, because mostly I did it in cash so I wouldn't be tempted to spend it.
Sure.
So I put it in a lockbox, hoping that I would be able to save enough to get a decent down payment. And then with the tickets, they had pointed out the 2 that I had pending and all of the places I had been to. I love to travel.
In a final act of unexpected humanity, Sarah shared her act toward Ryan's family. Finally, all the details were out in the open, and now Sarah had to stand trial.
You've been in contact with Ryan's family?
You mean since this is all kind of transpired here? In the
Kind
last
of,
7 months?
or...
Yeah, I mean, we've been in contact with them.
Mhm.
I mean, obviously, I haven't been recently, myself, personally. But yeah, they're fully, obviously, aware of the situation and that sort of thing.
Because I know that, unsurprisingly, they were clamoring for the death sentence. I guess, one, I'm wondering if this will get shared with them to clarify some things that they're probably wondering about. And I'm also nervous because I know that they'll be there in person at the sentencing, and as I've said, I don't deal with conflict very well, so I have a deep-seated fear that, I don't know, they're going to scream at me, yell at me.
That won't be allowed.
Okay.
That's not going to be something that's going to be allowed in the courtroom.
Okay.
It's very much a professional proceeding,
Okay.
and it's meant to be kept that way.
Okay.
Now, obviously, we can't sit there and be sure that it's not really something initiated. But I don't know that I foresee that being an issue. But if it would become one,
Okay.
But if it would become one, it would be addressed immediately.
That's
Okay.
good. So that's what I'm most terrified of, is just the fact that I have to face them. And I liked the portion that I wrote specifically addressing them, which once I'm done with the statement, and if I get Randy's okay, I can make a copy for you or something.
Sure.
I did say that I know that the words that I say won't bring Ryan back, and I said that I didn't expect them to forgive me for what I did, but that I hope they would be able to find some sort of peace someday.
Well, that's very nice, honorable for you to at least speak to them, or at least try to.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully it can bring a little bit of closure, not only for them, but also for you.
Mm-hmm.
Sarah received a slew of charges, including 2 counts of aggravated murder and 3 counts of kidnapping. She was also charged with assault, abduction, 4 counts of tampering with evidence, and 2 counts of abuse of a corpse. In a plea deal to avoid the death penalty, Sarah pled guilty to 1 count of aggravated murder. A judge ultimately sentenced her to life imprisonment with the possibility of parole after 30 years. One reckless idea led to the murder of an innocent young man. While Sarah would pay for her crime behind bars, nothing could undo the heartache felt by Ryan and Jennifer's families.